Yeah, so what? I think these movies are overrated. It's my opinion. Deal with it.
You fucking prick.
Hey guys, welcome to the top 10. Let's walk to my top 10 overrated animated movies. Yes, I at least thought I did this list, but apparently not. I've done so many overrated lists, I'm like, I had to have done animated, right? Right? No? Okay. Because a lot of these movies, well, I wouldn't say a lot, most of these movies I've talked about, and people know my opinions on some films that are very popular and people enjoy and love the shit out of them, but I'm just like, not a fan. Just not a fan. I did an underrated one a few years ago, like 5, 6 years ago, and I'm gonna do another underrated after this one, because level one out. But yeah, these films, some of these films are just, I don't know. I wouldn't say I hate any of them. Maybe like one or two, but I'm just not a fan. They're critically acclaimed. There's a huge fan base for a lot of these films. Just not for me. They don't hit well with me, I guess. So let's get to it. And again, of course, all opinion. It's just opinion. Number 10, the only Japanese animated one I have on here. Only Studio Ghibli movie because I love Studio Ghibli so fucking much. Like, Miyazaki is the GOAT when it comes to animated directors. However, Poco Roso is a bit overrated. I don't hate this movie. That's why I put it at 10 because I don't. I just think it's a little over. It's a little overrated. It's a little overrated. There's beautiful animation. Michael Keaton as the voice of the pig. He's cool, and is the story is like, I know it's a slice of life, and I love slice of life stories, especially Miyazaki slice of life stories. That's why I like My Name is Totoro, and I like Kiki's Delivery Service, and a movie he wrote, like From Up on Poppy Hill, is like more of a slice of life. Whisper of the Heart, like I enjoy like good slice of life sort of stories, but this one is just, I don't find it that interesting. I'm kind of bored watching it. And I don't understand why the pilot's a pig. It's just weird, and there's a lot of weird trippiness because it's a Miyazaki movie. And I don't know, the pacing is a little off for me. It's a little too slow for me. And again, there's a lot of slow Miyazaki movies, and I love the atmosphere. Just, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't invested with the characters and the world and the story. I don't know. Every time I kind of watch this movie, it's just kind of a struggle to get through. And I hate saying it about a Miyazaki movie because I love his work so much, but every time when it comes to Porco Rosso, that in Ponyo, but Ponyo's not as loved as like Poco Roso. People really genuinely love this movie, and it's fine. I can see why. There's a lot of creativity in it, but just for me, it's just hard to get into, and it's just never been a favorite. And I just think it's just a dash overrated. All right, number 9, we're going with Pixar. Onward. I think Onward's a bit overrated. Again, it's not like hugely praised, but it's praised enough, and there are people who genuinely love this movie. That's cool. That's cool. I don't. I think it's kind of boring. I'm just not invested with these brothers and their dad that's like cut in half. There is a great moment in the third act, though, with the oldest brother and the father. That's probably the best moment in the movie. But the world isn't it. I don't know why this sort of story, why they're like, what are they, what are they, like, they're like, no, what are they, trolls, what the fuck are they're like weird mystical creatures with magic and shit. It's a world full of mystical creatures, but it's like normal suburbia. They live in houses, and I don't know why they are different creatures and stuff. And if they wanted to use different creatures, why didn't they make the world more imaginative, not just a normal basic, like, kind of Earth sort of thing, just with these creatures in it? They could have been so imaginative with this story, but it's just sort of basic. And if you wanted to do a basic story about two brothers, why don't you just make them humans then? Like if you want them to be different creatures, then go crazy and visually weird with it. But no, it's such a safe movie, and it's not very funny, and it's just so basic and predictable, and just, I don't know. I never found it that interesting. I'm just like, it's just like a very safe movie, and just there's nothing deep about it until maybe the ending. The characters aren't all that interesting, and just it's not very funny. And I don't know. It's so blah to me. And I know people love it. That's cool. That's cool. It's just I was never a big fan of it. Coming in number 8 is Brave. And you could probably say Brave's more divisive than anything. but it did win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, and it is praised critically. So I have to say that, and it is a huge like cultural thing for young girls, and I get it. I get it, having like a main female character who's like really badass, Merida and stuff. That's fine and all. Animation wise, it's nice, but this movie kind of sucks. Like, I know everyone mostly has the same opinion that it's an okay movie. Like that's the majority consensus. It's okay. I don't even think it's okay. I actually just don't think it's very good. I think it's super generic. I think it's got a very boring cast of characters, and just, I don't know, like, I thought I remember when the trailer came out and it looked so cool, looked so interesting, but it was nothing what it kind of promised. I was like, oh, it's like this story, but this like thief. This is like sort of a Robin Hood story. Is it a rebellious story? No, it's literally just about a girl who doesn't want to listen to her mom. That her mom gets turned into a bear and she has to turn her mom back into a human. That's literally what the story is. I'm like, really? That's it? And again, it's just like Onward. It's so safe. It's so basic. And like it does nothing innovative, nothing creative, and it's nothing unique, and it doesn't even, like, I've only seen this movie twice, and there's barely a thing I can ever remember about it because it's so generic. It's such a generic movie. And when it comes to Pixar, when it started off, made such credible, like, groundbreaking films, and just a movie like this is just so blah. And the saddest thing is I have more Pixar movies to shit on. There's a lot of Pixar on this list, sadly. Because when it comes to Pixar, I'm almost like hit and miss. Like, I either love their movies or I fucking can't stand them. And Brave is one of them I can't stand. Alright, moving on to the next Pixar movie at number 7, Toy Story 4. Why did we need this? You know what? I was nice with this movie when it came out. I was very nice because I went into this movie expecting to hate it. Like, fucking hate it. Because Toy Story 3 is such a perfect ending to the trilogy of Toy Story. And I was going to hate it, but I ended up laughing, and, you know, there was some, like, touching moments. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this movie's fantastic. It's so good. And then I rewatched it when it came on Disney+. And I'm like, wow, those jokes don't hold up, man. They're not very funny. And then I watched it a third time with my nephew, and I'm like, this movie kind of sucks. Like when you rewatch movies, they either get better, or they stay the same, or they get worse. Like when I watched Encanto the first time, I was really tired, and I was kind of bored, and I was not very invested. But when I watched it the second time, I liked it a lot more. But it was the opposite of Toy Story 4. The more times I watch Toy Story 4, the more I actually can't stand it. I think all the new characters are kind of annoying. Like, Key and Peele's teddy bear characters, they're fucking annoying. Forky is so annoying. I know everyone's like, oh, it's like a suicidal toy. That's kind of funny. I think he's annoying. And the thing is, he has, like, nothing to do. He's, like, the big character in the first act, and then he's just kind of, like, shuffled. And they do nothing with Buzz Lightyear. And the whole soul of the movie is with Woody and Mo Peep, and that stuff's good, and I liked Mo Peep, seeing her again. She was great, but I don't know, I just didn't care about the villain. I didn't care about these new characters, and the old characters had, like, nothing to do. Is just Woody and Mo Peep, and I don't know, I was like, this is so, like, blah compared to the original trilogy, because the first 3 Toy Stories are so good. They're so emotional. They're so funny. They're so creative. Every character has their moment to shine, but Toy Story 4 is just not very good, and it's not very enjoyable, and it's not very funny, and just Toy Story 3 has such a good book ending to the story, and then Toy Story 4 is like, oh, let's just do this again, but now it's a different goodbye. It's Woody instead of saying bye to Andy, saying bye to all the toys and stuff, and I'm like, really? We're doing this again? And I'm just like, I don't know. Please stop. Please don't make any more Toy Stories. They will, but please stop it. Number 6. Frozen 2. Frozen 1, I think, is pretty good. And I know a lot of people say Frozen 1 is overrated. It's a very popular thing because it was such a huge phenomenon when Frozen came out. I still think Frozen is pretty good. I think it has good songs. I think it has good characters. And I think the villain is actually an interesting villain. There's interesting moments. There's dumb moments in the first Frozen. I'll fully admit that. And I actually think Olaf is funny in that. But, my God, they gave him a lot to do in this movie. And, my God, he doesn't shut the fuck up. Like, everything that made the first one good, they try to amplify it in this one, and it's just shittier. They try to make the songs bigger, and they're just more bland and forgettable. They try to put more Olaf in the movie, and he is so annoying. And Anna has nothing to do in the movie other than to follow her sister. Kristoff has nothing to do other than to fail to propose to Anna, which is literally the same story in Rescues Down Under. Like, you literally borrowed that from another Disney movie. And I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with this movie. I thought they were going to go in an interesting direction, but they talk about their parents, and all of it is so fucking... It's so bland and just shit. And this movie sucks. This movie made so much money at the box office, and people say Frozen 2 is just as good as Frozen 1. This one's underrated. The first one is overrated. Absolutely not. First one's still pretty good. This one, overrated. All right, number 5. Number 5 is an interesting one because it's interesting because this one would be on everybody's underrated. Like, if you see a list of underrated animated films, everybody's putting this one on it. And that's why I'm putting it overrated, because it's changed now, overrated and underrated now, because some movies that were once overrated can be underrated, and movies that were once underrated can be overrated, because this movie is just, everyone I talk to now, everyone says it's underrated. It's the most underrated animated film. Almost everyone I fucking talk to about this movie. And now I'm putting it as overrated because I don't even think it's that good. And that's Treasure Planet. This movie is praised critically, actually. It didn't make a lot. It bombed in the box office. So I can see when people said it was underrated. I can see why. Like, okay, not a lot of people heard of it. Not a lot of people watched it. And, it's not, like, I can see why. I didn't like it, but I can see why people say it's underrated. But almost everyone I talk to now, everyone says this is, like, the most underrated Disney film of all time. Most underrated animated film. Like, I agree with Atlantis. Atlantis is a great movie. But this movie, I don't see what people are talking about. I rewatched it about a couple of years ago because I wanted to see what people are talking about. Because I was never a fan of this movie. I never really enjoyed it. I watched it when it came out. I rented it from Blockbuster, and I was like, even when I was younger, I was never a fan. I still don't get it. I still don't get what people see in this movie. And I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. It's just a me thing. Maybe I'll never understand. And that's the beauty of film and film taste. It's all subjective, and people see things, and what a character does, and certain stories just, like, it hits people in certain ways. For me, I thought it was just kind of generic, and I thought there's some creative world elements, but I think the main character is just this typical, like, bad boy with a heart of gold, and I don't know. I didn't think the villain was good. I don't know. I was not invested with the world, and I get it. It's like Treasure Island, but it's sci-fi, and that sounds cool, but this movie should be for me. It's like a treasure hunting movie, and it's sci-fi. Like, this should be up my alley, but I just can never get invested in it. It's just a me thing. Number 4, Cars. Yes, everyone knows the Cars sequels suck. But the first Cars movie, people will always still defend. That's a great movie. And it made so much money. And, like, my God, the merchandise of Cars is just insane. And absolute insanity. Especially when I was in my teen years. I've seen kids doing all the car merchandise, the shirts and the toys. I'm like, my God, the movie sucked. Cars is not very good. There's a couple of jokes here and there, but it's not very good. And I don't get what makes Cars so good. It's not very clever. It's not creative. There's not even a lot of funny jokes you can use as Cars, like car jokes. And it's barely even about racing. Like, the second movie is about, like, fucking espionage shit, but, like, it's like the same story that a guy, he's cocky, he's the best, but now he's got to learn the real ways of racing, the heart of racing. I'm like, oh my God, what a fucking cliched story. And again, there's no reason why Cars are alive. I get it's a kid's movie, but why didn't they just make a movie about race car drivers? Why did it have to be about cars alive? It's so weird. Every time I watch Cars, it looks funny. The designs are so weird. The faces, I'm like, this is just weird. It's like Thomas the Tank Engine, but creepier. It's like, and I've watched every Cars movie and the Planes movies too. They all suck to me. But you know what? People seem to like them. That's cool. Number 3, another Pixar movie. Pixar movie came out pretty recently, Turning Red. I did a whole video on Turning Red. I did a whole video, and then at the end of that year, it made my overrated, one of my most overrated movies of that year. So I don't have anything to say. Just go watch the video I made of how much I don't like Turning Red. I don't want to repeat myself, so just go watch the video. Number 2 this is a classic Pixar. So it's strange that I'm just bashing modern Pixar. Now it's time to bash the classics. A Bug's Life. I was never a Bug's Life fan. I was more of an Ants guy. I think Ants is much funnier, much more clever and creative and stuff. Definitely better voice cast too. Like you got Christopher Walken, Sylvester Stallone, Sharon Stone, and everything. A Bug's Life. This came. I saw this in theaters as a kid. I remember even seeing it in theaters as a child. I was just never a fan of it. I was like, nope. And that was the whole marketing to this movie from the makers of Toy Story. So I always thought, like, oh, this is going to be just as good as Toy Story. It's like what they did with toys, but with bugs. But now it's shit. Shitty characters, shitty villains, and the bug designs aren't even that creative. Like, the bug designs in Ants are so cool, the size and the movements of them all. They actually seem like that's what bugs are, what they do, and it's all about the society of bugs and how they live and stuff. Ants is actually interesting. This one is just about this guy. He's a loner. He's not accepted with his people, but then he finds this group of people. They're all wacky and they're all heroes, but are they actually heroes? Then we got the liar revealed. I'm like, oh my god. It's just riddled with cliches. And it's just annoying, and it's just not that good. It's not that funny. And I was never a fan of A Bug's Life. But you know what, it means a lot to them. It's part of their childhood. That's cool. I like Ants better. All right, number 1, Rango. Rango's the number 1. It won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, beating Kung Fu Panda 2. How in the fuck did that happen? Kung Fu Panda 2 is millions and millions of times better than this shitty movie. And yes, it's got Johnny Depp. Love Johnny Depp. Gore Verbinski, he's a pretty good director too. But holy crap, does this movie suck. This is the most painfully boring movie, and it's so ugly. I know people praise the animation in this movie, and it looks hideous. I can't stand it. The voice casting is so wasted. This movie is just awful. The comedy is cringe. The characters are stock. The animation's ugly, and just there's a lot of references to old school stoner movies. I'm like, what child's gonna get that reference? It's just, I don't know who this movie was made for. I've barely met any kids who love it or adults who love it, but apparently there's an audience for it. Critics loved it. The Academy loved it. And sometimes I do occasionally talk to someone that calls it a masterpiece. I'm like, I don't know. I guess we're watching different movies, but Rango to me, overrated shit. So yeah, that was my top 10 overrated animated movies. So let me know in the comments below, what are your top 10 overrated animated movies in your guys' opinion? No judgment from this guy. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.